Okay, we are finally live.
Nice.
Guys, apologies, we have had all sorts of audio troubles this morning, and again I apologise because this audio is probably not coming through to you guys in its usual crisp form, but we're not in our usual studio.
No.
We're on the road, which brings all sorts of problems, so hopefully you've got your earplugs, your ear defenders at the ready in case we get more interference, but I think we should be good. Let's start this thing all over again. We are coming live from our brand new Vancouver location, the Ace Performance Centre.
Yep.
Mikey Boy's been out here for the last week, setting everything up.
A couple of changes, but we're good. We're in action. Couple fits last week, which is nice. Couple people got some custom sets of clubs.
Nice. Yep.
It's been good.
A few familiar faces coming by to check it out, which is good.
Yeah,
Always
definitely
good.
a lot of drop-ins, and a really good team here. Lots of coaches, lots of people that I should probably be seeing that can whip my buttocks into shape.
Over at the gym?
Over at the gym.
What do you think, Ed? Think we got to get him in the gym?
Of
course, we got to get him in the gym.
Got to get
100%. No more
whipped
booze
into shape.
in the gym.
Well, Ed, delighted that you could join us this morning. You're part of the team here at Ace Performance Centre. Tell us a little bit about kind of the vision for the facility. It's a pretty special place with a big vision to develop the very best talent, not just in Vancouver, not just in Canada, but the world. Where, one of the things that was so exciting about joining with Ace Performance Centre was Richard's vision, which was for this place to be churning out world champions, and putting together a team that could do that. That's something that got us excited about being here, and I'm sure you're super excited as well.
First of all, thanks for inviting me and Team Ace along here. And then I'm not sure if the audience have seen the facility yet, but they will soon.
Not yet. We're going to do a little walkthrough later today.
Yeah, we're super excited. This is like one of a kind in Vancouver and in Canada, and a lot of golf facilities, they do have a lot of things, but they don't have everything. And what Ace wants to do is create a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
We got, you got your hitting bays. We have Canada's largest indoor putting green, because you can't always be putting if it's super hot, or maybe there's a heat wave.
Yeah.
Or it's raining,
or the greens are
snowing.
punched, and you've got a tournament the next day or next week or something. This is 365 in here.
Yeah, or if you go to a golf course and it happens to be the day that the green isn't taken care of, then you're gonna have a bad putting day. So at least in here, we can control the environment, we can control the speed, and give you a consistent area to work in.
Yeah.
Alongside that, we have a lot of coaches to help you. Golf. Once you get into higher level golf, you know that there's a lot of things in it.
Yeah.
Even as professionals, there's always tiny things that they can work on.
Yeah.
But let's say for beginners, for example, there's even more things to work on. And in the gym especially, we make it easier for you to learn golf, because golf itself is very technical. But when you add a golf club and a ball, your only intention is to hit that ball. It's very difficult for you to focus on your movements. At the gym, we could take away the ball and the club, bring you into the gym, slow you down, teach you how to move teach you how to get into movements properly, slowing down without getting you hurt, take away distractions. So the ball is going to be a distraction.
Yeah.
If we look at a lot of professionals, when they're trying to teach golf, they actually take away the ball and the club. They give you different objects to play with. Yeah. Because they want you to feel how your body should move rather than think about hitting the ball.
Yeah. No, exactly right. So I think everything under this roof, we've had a chance to meet a few of the team this morning, and it's just exciting to see it all come into sort of fruition. And we've been part of these facilities in the past, Mikey, when a vision comes to life, and it's one of the best parts of our job. One of the parts that we enjoy the most is sketching something out on a whiteboard or sort of in a book, and seeing it come to life like this. So for anyone who's out in the West Coast, looking forward to seeing you. And I'm in town until probably Wednesday night, so love to, any of you who can stop by, we'd love to kind of see you in person. So we're going to dive into the questions. We've obviously got Ed who can field any questions related to movement pattern, your background in kinesiology, TPI, so anything sort of golf, movement and fitness related, love to dive into a few of those today.
Definitely. You have full access to the questions.
I do. Chris says, sounds like a great place. It is, Chris. Yeah, I mean, I think what we'll do later on today, if you want to join us on the YouTube and the Instagram channel, I'll do a little walkthrough and we'll head next door. Might even take on Mike in a little putting competition for some money that you won yesterday. So I might have to relieve you of some of that money, Michael.
It feels nice in the wallet.
Does it?
Feels
We'll
nice
get
in
a
the
little bit of that.
little Skins game yesterday.
Morgan Creek,
Aye.
sun shining.
Sun was shining, wind was brisk. It's chilly out here. It
It's-
is chilly out here.
yes.
I need to head back east for some heat.
No, this is the perfect time for golf.
Yeah,
It's not
this
too
is.
hot.
I know it's the
not too
heat is
hot.
kind of came out and stuff like that. I
Yeah.
like it. Like I don't know.
It is chilly in the morning. It's
It is
really
chilly in the
chilly.
morning.
Little
Yeah.
chilly in the morning. I like it right around kind of, 20 to 23 would be my perfect golf temperature.
Yeah. I
What do you
the
like
heat.
it?
30s.
30s.
Heat it
Wow.
up. Heat it up.
Crikey. Mr. Fogel, on your last putting video, the result was that the Scotty was just as good as the Ellie when properly fit. I wonder if $100 putter has the same results. I always kind of don't like to think of these things in terms of because it's a $500 putter, it's a better putter
Right,
than a
yeah,
100.
yeah.
I've never thought of golf equipment that way. So I don't know if I would look at that test that way, Dave. I think what we were just looking at was the bold claims from LA Golf that Scotty Cameron putters, not even Scotty Cameron, Newport designs, Answer designs, basically effectively were dead.
Definitely.
Right, and they took a shot directly at Scotty Cameron, really when what they should have been taking a shot at was Carson Solheim.
Right.
So, that design, they're basically saying is no longer use, which
The Scotty call out though got everyone's attention. The
which was
commercials,
that
that
was the
their
purpose.
business. Exactly.
That was
exactly.
the purpose. So yeah. So let's dive on and see any more.
Afternoon, gents, from Andrew. Recently hit T150 versus Cobra King Tour. King Tour ball speed was 4 miles an hour faster than
Right.
T150, 117 versus 113 with a 7 iron. Does that indicate better strike with Cobra? I mean, it could do. I mean, if you hopefully you are getting fit or testing on quad to see where that strike was. But yeah, definitely striking out of the middle can definitely be quicker with King. Those King Tour irons are good. I mean, it's very, very similar to a T150 in a way. But yeah, I mean, a little bit quicker could definitely go down to better ball strike.
Yeah, you need to obviously establish it. Is the head the only variable?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, is the shaft different? Is the length of the club different?
Swing
Flex,
weight, everything.
all that sort of stuff. So yeah, like you say, Mikey, we've got to establish. Are the lofts the same? Right. I mean, everything that we put up in our screens on a GC quad is to establish like versus like.
Right.
When we go to that club page, we look at dynamic loft. Is it the same? Strike point. Is it the same? Right. That way we can always tell. Even golf ball.
Mm-hmm.
Is the golf ball the same? You've got to be able to subtract every variable, isolate them all for their merits, and then go, okay, that's the one.
Yeah.
Right. And there's obviously a reason for that with the Cobra one being a little bit better. Ed, you were just saying you're just getting into the game.
Just getting in the game. I think I started
Enjoying it?
last year. Enjoying it, love it. It's so technical.
It is, yeah.
And the best part is you can never master it. And we're crazy.
Yeah.
We're crazy. Every
man.
day golfers are trying to master the sport. I'm trying to figure out why.
I think that is the allure of the game, though, because it's never end. It's a never-ending journey. It's an infinite
Yeah.
loop.
The
Even
thing-
the best players in
yeah.
the world, try to get better every
Yes.
single day.
I think the best part of that journey it's always self-improvement.
Yeah.
We're less about comparing. Of course, one's gonna be better, but we're
Yeah.
more about improving our own game than always looking at
That's
others.
a really good point, and it's kind of the way I've always looked at improvement, especially once you get to a sort of lower handicap. I always look at it like I try and get half a stroke better every year.
Yeah.
Right, and then if you
that's
look
just
at
it,
that, if you look at that from a long-term perspective, in 4 years to be 2 shots better as a scratch or +1 handicapper, then you start playing elite amateur golf, and it doesn't sound like that much. So it's kind of like those micro goals for the macro sort of effect, which is to try and play elite level amateur golf, which is my goal. So and yours is certainly get to scratch is the next goal.
Aye.
But you're not much of a goal setter, really, are you?
No. You know what? It is honestly, it's ridiculously close to where I could be.
Yeah.
It's just there's a couple holes that are dumb mistakes, dumb course management. I had it yesterday. I mean, it was 5 birdies and shot 76. How does that work? You know what I mean? That's just dumb golf. The chipping in from 40 yards and then the next hole in the shrubs. So it's just it comes down to I need practice and some new clubs maybe.
Do you?
No, clubs are good. Clubs are good. Timmy's saying, wouldn't it be a Monday morning without some technical issue? Amen.
Yeah, it's
Amen.
true story. Curtis is asking, what did the lads think of let's get this up here because I cannot see because of this thing right here. I can't read the questions. What did the lads think of Morgan Creek, my home track?
Curtis, it's my uncle's home track. I've played it a bunch of times.
Good crew there.
Good crew.
Mr. Saunders and Mr. Rogers there.
They're building another facility out there on the range.
Are they on the right hand side? Are they going to do that with the gym and stuff?
Yeah.
Good.
Greens were perfect yesterday.
Were they really?
Really good. Receptive.
Nice to hear. You'll not be used to that, getting on some good greens. And
very good. Tell that the logo you wore last week.
I'm only joking.
Morgan's a good spot. Morgan is a good spot. My uncle has donated a lot to that place.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's not what you want.
Preston.
Get that thing out the way. There we go.
Look at that dog. Love a dog. I miss my dog.
It's not.
You miss your kids and I miss my dog.
I miss my wife, kids, and dog. I've got the full crew to miss. Hey, is this a new Vancouver location? Preston, it is. Delighted to be joining you guys for a brand new facility here at the Ace Performance Centre, Richmond, BC. We've been kind of, I was going to say, this one's been in the works since, I think it's March, was the first time I talked to Richard. He and I had a phone call, and it was on a Saturday. I remember we were just kind of getting into the start of the season, and it was a conversation or an introduction from the guys at Foresight who Richard had been talking to, and he basically came in, shared his vision for the place and kind of what he wanted to build, and said there was a real void in the West Coast for a world-class facility that churns out world-class players, and that's exactly what we have now, which is very, very exciting.
Yeah, I think I found out in April.
Yeah.
Right, and then and I saw the facility. I was like, that's fast.
Yeah.
There was no hesitation. He wanted it.
Yep, that's it. When you've got a vision like that though, and you've got a drive to get it done, it's amazing that can get done.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's all the hurdles with the permits and all that sort of stuff. The city.
Yeah, the city. Good old
You love
city.
that, don't you?
The good old city of Richmond. Thanks. Shout out. Hope you're
And, and
watching.
it's not even the city of Richmond. It's every
Every city.
it's everywhere you try and get these things
That's
done.
true.
It's just
Minus the city of
yeah.
Oakville. They're pretty good.
as the mayor of Oakville.
Oh.
It's almost like these kind of I don't know what they're called over here, but we would call them kind of councils are anti-business. They just it's just they take way too long.
But if anyone has some connections to help us speed up the
Yeah,
process,
exactly,
just send
anyone
us a
knows,
message.
yeah, that would be nice.
Jeffrey is saying, can't wait for my first full bag fitting this weekend with Dean in Mississauga. Dean Fry.
Dean Fry, good guy.
Good guy.
CJ is asking, when would you recommend a combo set along the lines of your scoring irons or too forgiven? Not sure, CJ, that I would call it too forgiven. It kind of goes the other way. It's if the long irons are not forgiven enough.
Correct, yeah.
I don't think there's such a thing as too forgiven. Even the best players in the world miss hit shots and fall short of their intended yardages and things like that. So, I wouldn't consider clubs to be too forgiving in that sense. I would say you want to go combo when the long irons are not offering you enough distance variance, enough obviously launch and spin, that type of thing. Just got to obviously make sure you hit those trajectory windows.
Craig Miller is asking, afternoon lads, thinking of going to Club Champion Glasgow to get driver and fairways fitted.
Don't think about it, just do it.
Would I be better waiting for new launches or getting fit now?
I like this time of year for being fit. I'll be honest. I really do believe for me. I know it's in the spring the allure of being fit when all the products new is cool and stuff like that. I actually think right now is the best time of year to get fit. You've got lots of golf under your belt.
Generally get product in a way
Yeah,
quicker
yeah,
it's
true.
in stock.
Very true.
Yeah,
No,
I like this
it.
time of year because you've played a lot.
Yeah.
You're not scared to hit something in a bay or something like that. You're just comfortable.
And also the other part as well, which I think is can't be overlooked, is I think facilities like us and other fitters have 6 months of handling the product and kind of they now know which is the really good stuff and which is not.
Definitely, yeah.
Which is when the start of the year you're kind of just figuring out the product and sometimes you've got your favourites that you go to, etc. So I really like that part of it as well. Is just that the demo matrix intimately.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Let's see. Gary is saying. Let's shrink this down a wee bit. Is that it? Oh Jesus. Okay.
Can you just press the X?
That is massive. I actually quite like that with my face. What is going on there? Gary, it's a good question, but it doesn't need to take up our whole screen.
We'll just answer it that way.
Yeah, answer it that way. Let's grab
Where
Gary's.
was it?
Right.
Gary, hi Ian. Any thoughts on doing a road show around Scotland next year when the weather is good? Get a CC tour van and go around a few clubs. Love to see you up in northeast of Bonnie, Scotland.
Nah, I don't know if that's going to happen. I definitely will be over in the UK. I can see us doing some more sort of stuff with Joe and Dane at the Glasgow location. So, would love to see anyone who can come into town when we're down doing that, that's for sure. But no, I think my days in a kind of tour van or kind of going on the road show are well and truly done. 2 kids kind of put pay to that, and being away from them for a couple of days is tough. Never mind taking the show on the road.
Timmy saying no one's hiring you two for their IT departments. Amen.
I tell you what, see when you're out of your own. We could be in our own bubble every Monday and not have.
Give us
not
a
have any
fitting bay,
glitch.
no problem. Give
Yeah.
us a couple laptops, we are SOL.
The problem is it's when or if something goes wrong, then it's the problem solving that is just like you were googling every question under the sun regards to microphones earlier on. It's like it's not the working
I'm
of it;
super
it's the
young.
fixing
I
of it.
should know the technology, but I don't.
I know. Chad has a terrible low heel miss off the tee with everything but the irons, barely hitting the face, either 300 yards in the fairway or OB any direction. Help. Chad, you need to see someone like our pal Ed here. That is a movement pattern problem. So
think this will be big?
I think
All
it'll
right,
be
let's
big.
let's make that big. Let's review that question. All right, had a terrible low heel miss off the tee with everything but irons, barely hitting face either turn fairway in any direction but straight. Help. Okay, so it's a complicated question. We usually dissect these into different steps. One thing is, okay, what are you doing with your swing, and is it the swing that's the problem that's causing you to miss, or is it the movement that's the problem that's causing your swing to miss, right? So if your body is perfectly aligned and all your movement is correct, then we look at the swing. But if your swing is inconsistent, there might be something that we need to assess. So if we're looking at the TPI screen, we're looking at deficiencies in your movement, for example. Let's go over the question again. Let me
So
see if there's
basically,
something specific.
there is a low heel miss.
Yeah.
With basically the driver. Irons are fine.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I'll give you sort of my 2 cents in terms of when I see people swing faster, I see movement patterns change. So when people ramp up in terms of their exertion levels, it tends to stress their movement pattern.
It does.
To a certain, and then we can see some forward and back changes, and obviously as that strike is moving across the face, there's either some pulling away from the ball or there's some moving towards the ball. Do you see quite a lot of that in people's movement patterns?
Especially for beginners. So for higher level golfers, it's usually going to be a swing pattern correction. And then for younger golfers, we're mainly going to look at their movement. So a lot of times we tend to move more aggressively than we need, and it's when we really want to hit it hard.
Yeah.
That's when our movements miss. And we all know what positions we need to be in, but we're looking at why are we missing? Why is our movement changing? Because in our head we think we're doing it one way, but we're actually moving another.
Right.
And a lot of these things, they're built in either muscle memory or muscle fire or misfire in your body that you can't see, that a coach could see.
Yeah.
So for example, if people are swinging left and right, it's not likely going to be a swing issue. It's a stability issue, right? Because
definitely.
You're going for your backswing, and then you hit your club, and your follow through. Sometimes you're able to straighten that leg and extend. Sometimes you're not extending that leg, and we're looking at why are you not able to get a full extension after your follow through, right? So that's going to be a stability issue. Now, and if we dissect that further, are we looking at a stability problem in your hip, in your knee,
it can come
in
from
your
multiple
ankle,
places, can't it? Yeah.
right? So we have to reassess where that's coming from, and if we're looking at an entire swing, it's complex because pattern A might be a cause of dysfunction B, but it might be actually triggered by dysfunction C.
Yeah.
So that's where the assessment comes in. That's where the fitness comes in. We take a look at the entire body.
The whole picture. Yeah. No, absolutely. I think it's something that's really overlooked in the game is people think, oh, I'm hitting these shots and it's the club's fault, or I'm hitting these clubs and it's the swing fault, when it's a dysfunctional movement pattern that really is it kind of fault, and kind of taking the club out the hands and going back into those movement patterns and doing some drills and doing some exercises to get more stable, like you say, is really kind of what needs to happen. But people don't often look that deep into these problems. They try and look at it on the surface level as what is the easiest thing I can do to make this problem go away. I would take it like for example a player like I forget who it was, but heel striking, people go, I just need a shorter golf club. Well, that probably isn't going to fix the reason you're hitting it in the heel. It might in the short term be a solution, but long term that's definitely not the answer to your problems.
Yeah, I mean, well, if let's say we're looking at the clubs and they just need a shorter shaft, right? Then, well, you're gonna have to get a short shaft for every single club.
Yeah.
What if you change your game?
Yeah.
You might need a longer shaft.
Exactly.
So if you're constantly using your clubs to fix your problem, right, you're not addressing the real issue. Which, it's great getting like a perfectly fitted club, but the club only works as good as your body works, right?
Definitely, without a doubt. What is I don't know what that is, what Matthew's asking there. What's up with the new TrackMan teasers?
They posted They posted a photo on Friday of a black TrackMan, or it's blacked out, and it says coming Tuesday or something like that.
I have. Oh, do you know actually? Brad from TrackMan actually called me the other day. I missed his call when I was.
You missed someone's call. That's not like you.
Shut up. It's time.
You know what it is.
I don't know this. Do I know this?
I think we were talking.
Camera based?
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's
radar synchronized. I mean, listen, I'm no prophet, but I've been saying for years the first one to combine, camera based and radar is just gonna kill the game.
I'm no prophet.
I'm definitely not a prophet. But if you can get the best of both worlds, because there are things that camera based systems are best at, and there's things that Doppler radar systems are best at. So it's cool what you did.
That's correct, yeah.
What, in terms of dot placement?
Aye.
5 and 6.
Aye.
Yeah.
Because someone's asking, can you review how you set up your metallic dots for GC Quad? I don't even know if you can see that.
Kind of. Yeah, there you go.
That's how you do it.
Yeah, we go groove 5 and 6. Now, it depends. So this is your choice of iron is interesting because it's the only one company that varies the groove pattern the most. So, you know, you can be 13 grooves is the standard amount of grooves in an iron, but Ping have some variants where they have between 13 and 17. So, but for the most part, on a 13 groove iron face, you'd be looking at between groove 5 and 6. Yeah, because this one's actually between, no, it's 5 and 6. There you go. Right, you can see those are slightly different.
Very glary.
I know, it's tough to get the angles. We're just shite with technology. Afternoon, Anders. He's a regular in the house. Hope you're well, my man.
JT playing well on the weekend with the new driver shaft.
He watches the videos. He saw that you know.
No chance.
Someone, Johnny Wonder told me he honestly, yeah, no word of a lie. He said that JT mentioned to him a couple of years ago that he knew about the channel and watches the videos.
I don't think he watches the
or Justin, if you're watching. But yeah, he put in VF 5X.
Pretty good.
We tested inch little overland.
I'm gonna go home and test the one I have.
I know.
He played well, which is good, right before Ryder Cup.
Yeah. Obviously, yesterday he got off to a bit of a rough start. Yeah, no, I hope. I think it's a bit of a ballsy move that I think going to like a longer driver shaft that builds in more variables when you're trying to rebuild your confidence like that.
Especially in Napa because the course looked tight.
Yeah, it's tight. It's tight. I mean, you've seen how many. I didn't watch much of it. I watched yesterday quite a bit, and I saw how many driving irons Tagala hit. When he hit a ton of driving irons. His game was.
He hits it good.
He does hit it good, but it was like the amount of times he just hit that kind of like hook miss with the driving iron. Like he just kept hitting that left ball with it, and then he'd hit a miraculous shot out the junk.
His dad was hilarious. They kept showing him. He's so excited.
So excited. All right, I think we missed a couple of supers. I did see at least.
Yeah, we've got one here from JB. Could you do some work with the Blast Golf putting stroke analyzer? Compare it to Quintic. I've had good success with it and wonder if it's accurate.
I mean, JB, it's obviously, you know, I'm sure it's good, right? But it's going to be limited in what it can tell you relative to. I think maybe Capto might be a better, or Sam Putlab might be a better comparison than Quintic, because Quintic realistically is on a different level. You know, when its capabilities of reading ball, roll, impact, strike location, you know, all these sorts of things. You know, Quintic is just on a different level really from the other systems. But yeah, we can certainly request it.
John Jensen.
What's John up to?
Welcome to the West Coast.
The West Coast.
Bobo was saying JT said with a new driver and longer shafts he was hitting at 340 off the tee on average.
He never said he was. That was literally what his measurements were. Like that was his average was 340.
My God.
Yeah, he said he was instantly 2 to 3 miles an hour faster with it. 45. It wasn't even. It was under 45. I think it was 45 3/4 to end of grip, is what he was playing. It looked long on him though, because he's just a little guy like you. So he's you know, the driver when he gets a little bit long does look a
that mountain air's gone to your head.
There's Joe Lane. Why are so many guys fitted into Modus 120 instead of 125 or 115? Who fits into which? Also, Ventus versus Diamana, since I have extra letters at $4.99. It's funny. Well, your last one, Joe, is obviously Ventus versus Diamana is like tea versus coffee.
Aye.
You know, which tea versus which coffee. So it's, you know, are we comparing, you know, TB versus Ventus Red? Are we?
Love a TV.
Nothing beats TV, does it?
Nope.
And what was the other Modus 120? Pull up the raw weights. I actually don't know what the raw weights. So here's kind of roughly what happens, and I think it's probably the same for Modus. We don't deal with the 115 and 120s. If you pull up the EI profile on those ones, Mikey boy. Yeah, so that one is the soft middle. Right, go to 15.
Zuno's big into this 115.
They don't even show the EI profile, which is bizarre. So
And the stiff raw weight's 118.
interesting.
Regulars 117.5, stiff 118.5, and X 119.5.
So that's the odd thing with that. So they have a Modus 115 actually weighs closer to 120, and Modus 120 actually weighs closer to 115. Figure
Modus
that one out.
120, Modus 120 stiff is 114.
Interesting.
Love
So
Modus.
what they tend to be, if we want to take True Temper for example, if we take an S200, an S300, an S400, what that is they make a shaft profile, and then there's weight tolerances to that. So the ones that fall light on the weight tolerances become S2s. The ones that are close to intended weight become S3s, and then obviously the heavier ones, are out there S4s. Because I think there was actually an S1 at one point. They had an S100 that was a super light one. Not super light, but it was lighter, the lightest anyway. So I would assume that 115s and 125s are not a massive deviation from the EI profile. It's just a little bit of a shift in weight, but probably performs pretty similar, I would imagine, Michael. But we don't deal with them. Ted is saying the session with Nyon Choi was great. Any future plans to bring in tour players? I would definitely think that's actually part of our schedule for next year, working with more players. We've been talking about that quite a bit. You guys had a recent visitor to this facility.
Yeah.
Number one player in the world.
Yeah, Rose John.
That was awesome. And also you Rose and what's the name of the Chinese girl who's now world number one? You know who I mean?
I'm trying to recall off the top of my head.
Ronnie.
Yes.
She
Ronnie.
was here, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was here.
Was here training me and putting range.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah, we kind of kept it off social media.
Yeah.
Just it's a place for them to come train. It's not. We're not paparazzis, right?
And that's important. The players respect that when they're in town and things like that. That people aren't trying to capitalise on their name, and we see that when the Canadian Open's in town in Toronto and the players are in the local gyms and stuff like that. It's nice if people kind of just give them their privacy. They don't need cameras in their faces. They spend 5 hours on a golf course, every day with a camera in their face, so they don't need that the rest of their lives. But another good validation for this facility that the best players in the world are seeking out the kind of best equipment to come and use, and obviously the services of you guys to do that with, which is really cool. Definitely.
What else we got?
Nice to see you on the ball, Michael.
I know.
Half asleep at the wheel here.
Mondays.
I know. Adam is asking, should a 108 club head speed fit into an extra stiff or a stiff? You're a tweener, Adam. You're right in that cusp. Could be either, to be honest. I would say maybe you're a little closer to extra stiff, but you are on the cusp. But I would say it just depends on the profile of that shaft. You could be someone who plays a stiff in like a Ventus Black, but an X-Flex in something like a Acrates E6, something like that. So like we always say, just go get fit, go find out for yourself, and ultimately your testing will dictate what works best for you, and that way you'll know.
There's a question from Kenny. Loving the channel. A lot of people
Thank
going
you,
to
Ken.
Glasgow.
People need to go to Glasgow. Go and see Jose and Dane.
Old Jose.
Old Jose and Dane the Lion Tamer.
Kenny is wondering, he's going to get fitted for his Ping G425 irons. Can you let me know if KBS still produce the Tour 90 graphite shafts?
Graphite.
I will look that up for you. Did he say graphite? He definitely said graphite. Which
Didn't know there was a Tour 90 graphite, or is that part of the TG?
maybe it's part of the
TGI?
TGI. Yeah. KBS.
While Michael Googles away. Phoenix TM, what do you think about the TaylorMade Performance Lab in Wentworth, England? And do you guys recommend any better fitters in the UK? Also, any tips for junior golfers late on swing cause of power source? Don't know what that last part is.
I guess you take part one, I'll take part two of that.
Sounds good. TaylorMade Performance Lab in Wentworth is a great facility. I knew the guys there very well back in the day when I used to work with TaylorMade. I think the TaylorMade concept of Performance Lab is cool with the motion capture system, and I think now they have gears. I think they moved away from the mat system to actually having gears now, which is cool. It's a little different. If you want a look at your swing in 3D as well as a club fitting session, then it's a cool experience. My personal philosophy is I wouldn't do the two at the same time. I think you're either there to have your swing looked at in 3D, where you can spend the time to isolate the movement patterns and kind of look at it from that perspective, or you're there to work on your fitting session and you're there to be fully focused on the result and not how you do the swing. That was always a thing. I used to run one of the performance labs at Turnberry in Scotland, and I always found that customers were very sort of preoccupied by their swing once you showed them it on 3D. Yeah. So you get them all suited up, and then they would start to see their swing. They're like, oh, I didn't realize I'd done this or that, and then you're trying to obviously do the fitting portion of it, and they're trying to change their swings while they're doing it.
Yeah,
I found it
slippery.
quite intrusive into the fitting process. But what do you think in terms of the movement pattern or the speed loss?
For power, I'd say power. Let's take a look at the I forgot his name. Berkshire. Kyle Berkshire. Okay, he's probably like the beefest guy in golf, right? He's the biggest guy. He's got muscle. What does muscle give you? Power, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people think, if you're gonna be big and muscular, it's gonna slow you down. It's how you use that muscle, right, to your advantage. Of course, it's gonna slow you down a little bit, but you need to learn to use your muscles to activate proper sequences in your body, so you can produce that power in the right sequence.
Definitely.
But power and accuracy is important as well.
We saw that with Bryson, didn't we? When he added all that speed, his accuracy never really suffered actually that terribly much, but it ultimately didn't help his golf game, terribly. There's a fine line with golf and distance, where there is a point where not too much is too much.
Course, yes.
But there's a point of what is enough.
Yes, what is enough, right? Like we're not asking you to hit do a bench press like 5 times a week. Is that going to help you really? No, bench press has very little. It has a little bit of correlation, but very little correlation to your golf swing, right? Golf swing, we're looking at when you swing. A lot of people don't realize you're using your muscles.
Yeah.
Okay, you're turning with your back. You're turning with your hips. Your hip is a bone, but the muscles surrounding your hips. A lot of people in golf, they talk about shifting your hips, and that's an activation of your glute muscles, right? So your glute muscles is going to shift your hips. Your back muscle is going to help you turn. Your arm muscle is going to provide you some stability in your swing, and your shoulders need to be strong enough to hold that power for your accuracy. To answer that question in short is you do need to do some sort of strength power training.
Yeah.
Now for juniors, we're not asking them to hit the weight room aggressively.
No.
For juniors, we're looking at how well can they move outside of golf. Can they run? Can they throw? Can they jump? Maybe you're trying to swing hard, but because your your young athlete doesn't have any leg strength because they can't run or jump.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter how hard you swing, there's no power in that leg to drive that
Yeah.
swing, right?
definitely. It's tricky, isn't it, with junior golfers when they're in that sort of growth phase, and every time we see it as fitters, we might see them 3 or 4 times a year, and every time we see them, they have grown or they look different. They've had those changes. They can be totally different in terms of their speed.
Especially with juniors.
Yeah.
Juniors, they're tougher to work with because
Yeah.
they're always growing. Their limbs are changing, so they need to work on their balance especially more as they grow, because when they're growing, their limb length is changing, so their swing is actually constantly changing. We can't change their swing. We can teach them how to swing and they'll remember it, but we need to teach them how to use their body as it's changing lengths so they can feel what position they need to be in for that swing.
Yeah, no, 100%.
I'm gonna go back a question, Kenny, to answer your question. TGI Tour Graphite in 355 diameter comes in 60, 70, 80, 90, 95, 100, and 110. I don't know if Glasgow's gonna have all those.
Glasgow does. Yeah, my
There
dad
you
could
go.
fit into those.
Into 90s.
60s or something.
Guy is ready to fight.
That's just that saying from TGC that day we played Intermediate
Oh,
Member
aye.
Guest. Just popped into
We
my
didn't
head.
win though, because my guest was useless.
I played well the next day.
Oh, I smashed it. That's good. That's good. There's no trophies for.
Oh jeez, I think I started with 7 bogeys that day or something like that. Okay, Ethan struggles with a slightly open club face with the driver, but strike is good. Neutral to slightly out to in path. Play Cobra LTD X Ventus Black 6X. Should I try blue or something else? I'm very loath, Ethan, to tell people to change it. Look to a shaft to change your sort of delivery. I don't believe that it kind of shafts offer that. I think what shafts offer you is sort of energy, a timing sort of mechanism. I really don't believe that you're going to find just because it's a little bit softer all of a sudden it helps the club face turn over. If it does it to such a marginal level, and also I never ever really believe in making one change to change a pattern. So I always think you've got to layer on these changes. So maybe it's weight in the heel, maybe it's a change in grip size, etc, etc, etc. I try and make changes by doing 6 or 7 things rather than just one thing like a shaft change. So I wouldn't do that, Ethan. I wouldn't just go ahead and put a softer shaft in there trying to get the face to close. I'd book yourself in for a fit and go and try multiple things, because I just don't want you wasting your money and then all of a sudden you get disappointed because it didn't work out for you.
Cheese balls, 1999.
One of them.
One is asking, is there fitting availability this week with yourself or myself? No, I leave tonight. But he's also wondering if there's a full lefty matrix here for demo heads.
Of course.
100%.
Of
Full
course.
lefty demo matrix.
There is.
You can't have a demo matrix in Canada without
no.
lefties.
There is a
There's
ton
more
of
lefties over
yeah,
there.
ton
Honestly.
of lefty heads.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah, there's
Nice.
yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, all brands. It's good.
Everything under the sun. So lefties, you're well looked after.
Joe Lane again. So Mike, why do you play Modus 120 instead of 115 or 125? 125 stiff is too heavy for me, and I've played Modus 120 forever. I haven't really hit 115.
It's what the difference is. One is an OEM shaft, if you like. 115 to 120s tend to get distributed out to the OEMs.
Yeah.
We tend to deal in 105s, 120s, and 130s. That's kind of our matrix of Nippon Modus. So, I've never been a huge one of going Modus 105, 110, 115, 120, 125, 130.
Yes.
It's overkill.
It's too much.
So we feel like 105, 120, 130 is enough variation within that model to give us enough options. Tell you what, John has got me sold on Strix on fairway woods. How do I stop hitting my Strix on fairway woods so far and so straight?
You're the luckiest John Fishburne I know that uses a Strix on fairway wood. Might be the only one I know.
Too good. We need to do a test of that one day.
One day.
One day. One day, John.
Okie doke.
There's one for you. And what periodization would you use for the off season, prioritizing power and strength?
Ooh, specific
That's
question.
a good one.
Okay, so it depends when are you going to compete. It depends, are you going to join a tournament?
I think
Right.
if it's off season, I think he's thinking, right, clubs are down. I'm going to have maybe
Right, so we're
4 or
looking at
5 months, 4 months.
we're looking
off.
at winter. Depends what you want to work on. There's a lot of things in your fitness that you need to work on. Golf is one of the most complicated sports I've analyzed.
Sure.
If you have in your golf swing, you have your squat. So you're bending down into a squat. When you bend down, you compress a little bit. You do this really weird hip shift. So you shift onto one side, and then from there you rotate in this really weird position, and you rotate into a compression at a very specific point of impact, and then you do a full release and get a full extension on one side of your body. It's a very complicated movement, and we want to look at where you're struggling with. I can't just say off the top of my head give you a periodization chart, but what you want to do mainly is you want to focus on if you want to increase your, talking about strength, right? Power and strength. Okay.
Yeah.
Power and strength is, if you build too much muscle, you're going to slow down. If you bulk up too much, you're going to slow down. Mainly in your first block of your periodization, you're going to focus on muscle and strength, but you need to maintain your speed, so you be consistent with your swing. You're still going to practice your swings. And then closer to mid-season, I would go reduce. I wouldn't reduce, but I would taper down the strength training volume and focus more on your swing.
Yeah.
And then closer to the end of the season, when you want to start golf again, it's maintenance phase for your strength and power is going to be 1 to 2 times a week per muscle group.
I think that's something people don't realize is 1 to 2 times a week is enough in
That's
season.
enough.
That's enough for maintenance, so you don't actually regress from a speed and strength standpoint. I think people still think they have to live in the gym, all winter long.
Yeah, because we're going from off season, so we're playing less golf and we're doing more strength. But in that first block, we're going to focus on strength. You're going to lose a bit of golf. It's a trade. You can't have really good strength and really good golf.
Yeah.
It's if I put this in a, let's see, if we have a pie, right? You only get one pie. You don't get 2 pies. Your body has one pie, and if you're in season, you're probably going to be a 90% golf, 10% fitness. Once you start going off season, we're flipping that around. We're going to do 90% fitness in your first month, but we're going to slowly bring that back into full circle again, into maybe 20% fitness just for maintenance, so that you don't lose everything that you've built up in the last few blocks, so that you can. So every year, it's, let's say, for example, we want to work on power, and we're doing chops on a cable machine. You're doing 50 pounds. We want to maintain that 50 pounds and maybe increase that to 60 pounds, 70 pounds throughout the year. But we don't want to lose that strength, because the whole point of building up that strength is to maintain it. Otherwise, we're not trying to. Same with the swing. We don't want to lose that swing. You want to, create a good swing and spend some time every week to maintain that swing, so you remember. Because every time you start golf, you stop completely. You restart. You realize you have no idea what you're doing.
I always compare it to speed training or strength training to blowing up a balloon, right? When you invest in your time and your body and you get stronger and stronger and stronger, it's like inflating that balloon. But if you don't have the right program, the air's just going to come out the balloon if you stop doing it. Whereas if you have the right program in place, you can tie a knot in it until you're ready to blow up some more. And then you add to what you've already invested in. And I think I see that all too often with people is they get good for a little while, and then they undo the hard work, and then they've got to start all over again.
Let's go back to your balloon, right? So you blow up the balloon and you tie that knot. Over time, so what people do is they just tie the knot. And over time, that balloon, it gets smaller and smaller because you've just tied the knot. What we want you to do is just blow some air in there once in a
Yeah,
while, right?
definitely.
Once a week, you know, you're gonna do some strength training on or off season. Get a little bit in there, right? And that's just gonna maintain that balloon.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think it's a good time of year certainly to do a little bit of that. I know I always look forward to this time of year, Ed, because you've played a lot of golf. You've kind of, I know Mikey, you could keep playing 10 times a week. But I like an off season because it's a chance to then reset and go, okay, what was good about this year? What do I want to work on? And then you obviously build all your segments, and fitness and strength and speed. You know, they're obviously, you know, their own segments. And then you've got whatever it is about your game. For me right now, it's putting. Mikey, you want to do some technical stuff with your wedges. You're not kind of too happy with how you're hitting your wedges. And that's been the strength of your game.
I know. Yeah.
So, you know, it's funny how different parts of your game, you know, come and go, and you know, strengths become weaknesses and weaknesses become strengths over time.
Definitely.
And
Yeah, as you know, as you train or as you play golf, everything is always changing.
everything. It's a
Everything.
moving target for sure.
One day you're hitting great, next day you have no idea what you're doing anymore,
Yeah.
and you start questioning your life.
Yeah.
What
Aiden,
time are we on?
we are on
50 minutes.
50 minutes. Aiden dropped by and met Mikey. Such a down to earth guy.
That's me, see?
Tell you what, he's good at faking it. I'll give him that.
Oh well. Acting.
Hope the Vancouver courses treat you guys well. Thank you, Aiden. Thank you.
Thanks for coming by. What? I see, I'm a nice guy. You just.
Dear. Ted is asking, what are some mistakes you see from your customers who own launch monitors? I think one of the things, Ted, I would say that people who have launch monitors and kind of hit a lot of balls on launch monitors is they become too reliant or too fixated on the data. You've got to remember that golf is a game we play. It's not something where we're trying to just, you know, always have perfect numbers. There's room to play this game and be creative, and you know, you don't have to become robotic and have to, you know, have everything perfect every single time you play this game, because I think that leads to, you know, poor mindset. If you hit a couple of bad shots and, you know, all of a sudden you start getting demotivated, etc. So don't be too reliant on the numbers, and just remember that when it comes to, you know, being in season, go play.
Yeah.
Get out to the golf course, work on some stuff.
Play.
You know, one thing I noticed too. So let's say you have your own monitor. You might be monitoring your own work,
Yeah.
and maybe sometimes you need to have a friend look and have a third eye, not just yourself.
Yeah.
What, you know, it doesn't matter. Coach, friend, family, have a different
An outside
point of view.
perspective.
Yeah, because you're gonna be picking on things that you know about. So
Yeah.
your vision's narrowed down to what, limited to what you know.
Yeah.
You, even for professionals who have their own golf monitors, they've always got a few consultants.
Without a doubt, that's a great point. And you know, if you have the luxury of having your own launch monitor, you're really in a great place. But you know, making sure that you've got the ability to keep that practice or whatever, you know, investment you're putting into your game, have the ability for just to send that to someone and have them verify what you're working on is the right thing. I think is super important. What's your winter sort of goals, and have you even thought about it yet?
Not yet. There's lots of them. Play more golf.
In the winter,
I play golf. No,
how are you going to do that?
I'm gonna go away during the winter. At least a couple rounds a month for January, February, March, April, and then the golf season. I'll be out here anyways working. I'll get like 4 rounds of golfing in a week.
You'll be doing well to do that out here. You don't even like playing indoor golf in the winter. How are you going to play outdoor golf in the winter?
No, here it's like summer all the time. A little bit of rain, big deal.
Okay, let's take a couple more and then we've got to crack on. Hogan fan. Both Quintic and Sam are very calibration sensitive for initial setup conditions. I got fit on Sam, made 10 in a row from 9 feet, and the fitter said I was averaging 1.6 degrees closed at impact. Impossible. Not impossible. Definitely not impossible. There can be loads of different factors involved in that. You can be 1.6 degrees closed with face angle but hitting it in the toe. We see that regularly. You can be, like you said, you can be slightly off with the calibration. One thing I think people don't quite realise is when it comes to alignment, even the best players in the world do not aim at their target 100% of the time. But what they do 100% of the time is have the same tendencies. Tiger Woods' tendencies are well documented that he aims right at the hole and he over rotates his putter. So his rate of rotation is so high that he has to actually build in a little bit of rightward aim in order to get that face closure that he kind of relies on. So that's the one thing that they do well, is they are so consistent. They practice, and obviously their skill level is so high that they can repeat over and over again. But I think people think that the best players in the world will absolutely never fail to set up square, or never fail to get the putter back to square. It's not that way.
It's not impossible.
Definitely.
Any recommendations for launch monitors, lower mid budget, like $200 to $400?
$200 to $400.
I mean, we haven't tested it yet, but we have a voice caddy, and I think they're $500 US.
Yeah. $200 to $400. I mean, what does that little radar cost? What's the little one that's comes with
Mevo?
super speed? No.
Oh, PRGR or whatever.
PRGR. That's a couple $100.
Yeah, I
but
think it's $200, but that's not a.
it gives you
It gives you numbers and stuff.
some numbers. But how much is a Mevo?
$700, $500. I don't know. To be honest, I have no clue. I couldn't tell you. Buy a quad. Save your pennies.
Add 2 zeros to your
Oh.
$200, $20,000.
You see Tiger hitting balls last week?
I
That
did.
Nexus
I
Cup.
did.
I can't wait. April, baby.
$200 to $400 gets you eyesight and a range membership. That's so true. That is so true. Yeah, no, $200 is a toughie. It's tough.
Someone was asking, I don't know how to even say his name, but he says, need your support comparing T150 and Mura TC201.
Comparing them. Obviously, T150 is a multi-material head, so you will find it's quite a bit more forgiving. Static lofts are a little bit different. The T150s are 1 degree stronger through to the 8 iron, and then I think 9 and wedge are 2 degrees stronger. I think 201 is 40, it might be 45 in the wedge.
Yeah.
So I think 1 degree stronger, so again a little bit different. So I think you'll probably find that T150 launches a little bit higher and definitely a little bit hotter. Obviously head weight is a difference as well, probably about 4 grams difference in the head weight.
Big difference.
So they will feel a little bit heavier in the head weight. So, depending on the shaft, depending on how you like your build, grip size, etc., etc. Lots and lots of things to compare. But I think if we put both on the same shaft at the same length with the same grip, etc., etc., you'd find the 150s went higher and further, which is why it's such a good
so
iron.
good.
Such a good iron.
So
You
good.
still enjoying yours?
Highly recommend. Go get fit.
Fogel is saying you can pick up a used Mevo all day for that price. There you go. It's probably as good as anything, isn't it? A used Mevo.
Yeah, I think so.
I've never used one.
Me
But
neither.
sounds good. All right, last one. Your choice.
What would
Princess
be the
Michael.
most important factor in a putter to help with pace control, not from mishits or poor strikes? What would be the most important factor in a putter to help with pace control? Get an even roll.
Yeah, I think something with a little face tech. It's what we talk about on Quintig as impact ratio, and other launch monitors would call it smash factor or efficiency. It's having the repeatable output of speed relative to the input speed, so your club head speed. So yeah, like you said, even roll with their groove technology. Other companies with kind of similar technology. TR technology from Ping was a very similar thing with a variable groove. So you don't always have to hit it in the middle to get that level of output. I think that's one of the biggest things that I always tend to look at as a determining factor for speed control. I think that's super, super important. Okay.
Just a heads up in the top right.
All right. Andrew's is saying Tacoma irons making on tour. Saw Tacoma irons making on tour via Wesley Bryant. Good for DTC. So they must have done a deal with the Bryant brothers. That's interesting. They've got a bit of marketing dollars to spend. The Tacoma boys. They reached out to us last week about a new driving iron or something like that they've got, but
I don't see any.
no, me neither. Okay, guys, that's the top of the hour. We apologise for the initial sound issues we had. We blew a few people's eardrums out.
Waking up.
We'll blame Mikey. It's all his fault as usual.
Waking up, folks.
So we are going to go and get on with our day here at our lovely new facility, the Ace Performance Centre. Ed, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
It's,
Thank you for the invite.
Yeah, no, it was good to have some input in some other topics. I think it's something we'd like to do a little bit more of in terms of getting people of other in other fields of the game, so that people are sick of listening to you and me.
I don't blame him. I'm sick of listening to myself.
So bad.
I'm sick of listening to you.
You've got a
Right,
bit more
folks.
listening to do. Don't you worry about that. All right, guys. Hope you have a great week. Let's see quickly before we go here. Let's see if I can give you guys the lay of the land for the week in terms of the content schedule. If I can, Mikey, entertain them for 1 second.
Where
Give me
are we
1
next
second.
week? We're back in TO.
Yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back with the boys.
Good old Toronto. If there's any equipment difficulties next week,
I know.
that's Cody and
We
Casey's
don't
fault.
even have anyone to blame when we're back there.
What is on the docket for the next couple days? You're here till when? Wednesday?
Yep.
Any availability? Email
Email
brett.hyun@clubchampion.ca. and
Or
he
just
can
info.
book it.
Even
Or
just
info.
info.
Aye. Email
Uh,
Brett.
So, guys, the content schedule for the week. Date we on today. So today we have the video with Paige and myself going through her gapping session. I think in that video we had a little look at her driver as well, which she absolutely striped. Then tomorrow we've got a putter session with our boy Johnny Winder, putter grip video that you and I done last week.
Yeah.
Good one. And then on
LA golf ball.
Friday we done the LA golf ball, which was a good little test, comparing the LA golf ball to the Pro V1X. But obviously the big part of that being the LA golf ball, the price of it, which was expensive. So interesting little test. So busy week. As I said, come and visit us if you're on the West Coast here at the Ace Performance Centre. Be awesome to see you. I leave Wednesday, so if you're in town and you get a chance to come and stop by, we'd love to give you the tour. So appreciate you guys joining us. We'll see you again soon.